Sunday, December 7th, 1941, started as any typical Sunday would for those American sailors stationed or docked in Oahu's Pearl Harbor naval base. The Hawaiian skies were clear, but soon the droning sound of aircraft engines were heard, and the skies were filled with aircraft of the Empire of the Rising Sun. On Battleship Row, USS West Virginia, BB 48, was moored up when the Japanese arrived at 0800. This photograph shows one of the 7 Type 91 torpedoes that impacted the ship's hull. Alongside the 7 torpedo hits, she was also hit with Japanese bombs built out of the battleship shells of her own opposite number, the Nagato and Mutsu. The 7 torpedoes drove into her port side. The first bomb also landed port and penetrated the superstructure deck, wrecking the casements below. The ammunition in this area exploded, causing fires to spread to the deck below, the galley. The second bomb hit the rear superfiring turret roof, penetrating but thankfully failing to explode, sparing West Virginia and her men the fate of her fellow battleship, USS Arizona. Still, one gun was demolished and the float planes and their catapults were thrown from the turret roof, spilling aviation gas and catching fire. As for the torpedoes, one hit aft, destroying the rudder. At least 3 hit below the belt armor, and 1 hit the belt, damaging 7 of the armor plates. These torpedoes opened up 2 huge holes, one from frame 43 to 52 and another from frame 62 to 97. At least one further torpedo passed through the holes after the ship started listing to port and exploded on the secondary armor deck, causing even more damage. Keeping the ship from rolling over was accomplished by her damage control efforts initiated by Lieutenant Claude Ricketts. Assistant Fire Control Officer Captain Mervyn S. Bennion was mortally wounded by shrapnel. He had remained aboard the ship assisting in her defense until he died. For his incredible act of heroism in the face of enemy fire, he was awarded the Medal of Honor. After being wounded, he was carried to the mess deck from the bridge by fellow crew members, including Mess Attendant 2nd Class Doris Miller. Afterwards, Miller was ordered to man an anti-aircraft gun on the conning tower. He had no training in the operation of the weapon. Miller earned the Navy Cross for his courageous action. The ship was sinking, but thanks to damage control efforts, she was sinking on an even keel and not capsizing like USS Oklahoma, and she was sinking rather slowly. This gave the crew time to abandon. Later, a group of volunteers returned to the ship to fight the fires. Fuel oil from the decimated Arizona was leaking and caught fire, engulfing West Virginia in a hellstorm further fueled by the ship's own ruptured bunkers. Fires wouldn't be extinguished until the following day. 106 sailors from USS West Virginia died that day. Among the dead were Ronald Edencott, Clifford Olds, and Lewis Costin. Theirs is a particularly tragic story. They were trapped in an airtight storeroom. They had a calendar and marked off the days that they were stuck, slowly suffocating. They finally succumbed on December 23rd, 16 days after the attack, according to the calendar, 2 days before Christmas, which is particularly painful as I'm writing this video on the 21st of December. On December 6, 2019, DoD announced that 8 of the 35 unidentified remains of the West Virginia had been identified. With the Pacific Fleet in shambles, U.S. Navy operations now had to focus on the only capital ships that were left, their aircraft carriers. Meanwhile, an army of salvage teams descended on Pearl Harbor to determine what ships could be floated, repaired, and returned to service, and reap their revenge on the Imperial Navy that put them on the bottom. This is a short piece, but I figured actually I might leave the salvage and aftermath and the later wartime career for the same part, so stay tuned for that. Hope you found this interesting, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.